Audio check. Would you like to take your seats now, please?
Not a fish. Council's website within the next 24 hours. I would like to introduce the officers who are with me today. Head of Planning, Richard Kent. Development Service Manager, Simon Exley. Lead Transport Planner, James Wigmore. Sue Buck from our legal team. Mike Riggle, who I always forget, from our ICT team. And Hazel Brinton, our clerk on MS Teams. I would like to thank them all for the effort that they put in to enable this meeting to happen. Will you please ensure all mobile phones are switched off or to silent? I will now go to the agenda. Agenda item 1, public speaking. Chairman, the Assistant Director of Legal and Governance and Monitoring Officer has received no public speakers.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 2. Apologies for absence and notification of substitution. Sue.
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Councillor Westwood and Councillor Cole is substituting for Councillor Hogg.
Thank you very much. Declaration of disclosable pecuniary interest. Anyone?
None, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 4, minutes of the last meeting. I propose that I sign them as a correct record. Do I have a second? Plenty of people there. Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's carried. Agenda item 5. Matters referred to the Council, the Executive or other committees. There are none as such, but I would mention that the Planning Peer Review Working Party's findings to reduce the membership of the P&R Committee to 13 with politically balanced substitutes has been implemented. Also, for the minutes, I would add that the independent members not listed on the agenda are as follows. These are for the members of the independent group, Councillors Hogg, Snaden, Solomon and myself. May I take this opportunity to welcome new members. Agenda item 6, planning application 21P 0803 full construction of a Scout HQ and associated works at land to the west of Wild Country Lane. I'll get it right in a minute. Long Ashton. This is a Section 2 application which can be decided today. I will now invite Simon Exley to outline the report of the Director of the Police Directorate. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll run through the report first of all and then through the slides just so that members who weren't at the last committee will be aware of it and members who may have forgotten some of the discussions will also be able to catch up. The application report is recommending refusal for the 5 reasons that were put before the committee at the last meeting. The recommendation from officers is still for refusal for those 5 reasons. Annex 1 is a copy of the report that was put to the last meeting of the committee that members considered. And if members are still minded to approve the planning application, then Annex 2 has 2 recommendations before you. One is matters that we consider should be resolved before planning permission can be granted, and the second, and the Schedule B, is a list of suggested conditions if planning permission is granted. So if I just run through the slides, and then I can tell you that there's been no significant update for members following the last meeting. So very little has changed in terms of the understanding of the application, either by the officers and the applicants, and information is still outstanding that we need to be resolved before we can issue the planning permission. If I just run through the slides, this is the site edged in blue, while Country Lane comes down from the north, which is Long Ashton Road and the junction there, going into the village, which is over the top of the screen. It comes down over the railway line and is heading out of the village. That's the area edged red. The blue line is the land ownership. The proposal is to erect a Scout headquarter building in this position. Sorry, the road is on the side down here with a new there's an existing field access, but it's, in that position, but it's to put an access in here that would lead into the building and the grounds. There's a play area in that part. There's car parking there, and there's landscaping around the area. There's a new access that will lead into the field. That's a coloured up version showing a splay across in that direction. That's the floor plan showing the building and how it be accessed, mainly centred around a single story with a hall area, storage, kitchen area, toilets, and kit store and a meeting area. That's the building. There's an embankment of trees to the rear of it, but that's a view that would be seen looking across the fields to it, and the end elevations. This is a view, this is looking north, so the building would be in approximately that position where my cursor is. On that slide, that's a better one showing a view across the field, and that's looking the other way. This shot is taken near the proposed access, looking in a northerly direction along the road. As you can see, the pavement is on the other side of the road from where the headquarters is proposed, and is not very wide. On the lamppost there is a lighting, and the lighting is on the opposite side of the road from the public footpath. That's a closer up view. That's the existing access. So the new access will be moved further to the south in this area and then go behind the hedgerows. The speed restriction sign, I understand, is just around that bend behind where you can see the car. This is looking south. That's the existing field access, and the new access would be put in that location. And again, that's looking south from the new access, down further to the south. I think probably that's all the information. So the applicants have seen the conditions that are on the report. I don't think that any of the conditions are what we would describe as unusual conditions in terms of restriction for this type of development in the green belt on its own. And I understand that from the discussion at the last committee, that whilst officers were recommending refusal, members considered that this was a special case, that alternative sites weren't available for this community use, and that the very special circumstances outweighed the normal restrictions on development in the green belt. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Simon. I'll now invite Councillor Stuart McQuillian, who is the ward member, to speak and offer a proposal at the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I'll keep this brief because although there's a few new members, a lot of people have heard this already, and we'll move on swiftly. So this was brought to PNR in July by Councillor Cartman, my ward colleague, and this was because both of us believed as ward members that this development, as Mr. Exley just outlined, does constitute very special circumstances in that the community benefit from a scout hut, and the community has been without a scout facility for several years now, and the scouts have had to make do with renting space in various schools, which has prevented them from being able to grow and has led to an incredibly long waiting list. So we believe the community benefit outweighs the harm to the Greenbelt. The location within the Greenbelt is such that it is not part of the Greenbelt that is valued by the community of Long Ashton relative to others, and it's not part of the precious space between Long Ashton and Bristol, which stops us, as I said last time in my speech, from being absorbed into Bristol. We therefore respectfully disagreed with the officers last time and believe that it was compliant with relevant North Somerset policies under the very special circumstances clause. There is a risk that the development in the Greenbelt could change in scope, which is why there were some caveats on the approval motion last time around putting a Section 106 agreement in place, and that's something I still would like to see, and I know that officers and other parties will continue to work towards that. As to the settlement boundary, yes, it's outside the settlement boundary, but I think from that map and things that shows it's actually very, very close. It's about 100 metres at most from a major housing estate. There are issues with access, but I don't think the distance is that large. In terms of alternative locations, with the support of the Parish Council and one of the previous ward members, Councillor Charles Cave, the Scout have spent several years approaching landowners and have made, I believe, an exhaustive search for alternative locations. The guides were approached. The guides do not have space, and as I said in the last meeting, I don't believe if the guides say that they don't have enough room, I think we should take them at their word. So finally, turning to the outstanding issues, there are some issues around ecological impact. I mean, the Scouts have put forward a very good development from ecological points of view, but obviously we need to be sure that the impact is minimised and appropriate. Safe pedestrian access needs to be provided, and the vehicle access point needs to be confirmed. As was discussed in July's committee, all this can be dealt with through dialogue with the Chair, Vice Chair and officers, and I'd like to thank officers for drafting the conditions between the last committee and this. Therefore, I'll sum up now. I'd like to move approval subject to the same conditions as before, which I'll recap in a moment, and the details in the annexes of the report that have been very kindly put together by officers. So the major caveats therefore are approval subject to submission of the required ecological reports to the satisfaction of officers, confirmation of proposed pedestrian access and confirmation of vehicle access point, a satisfactory S106 agreement between the Scouts, landowner and North Somerset Council to safeguard risks from other development, and all the planning conditions as drafted in the annex were appropriate. And I believe the Vice Chairman has agreed to second the motion.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you, Vice Chairman. Richard.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a very quick clarification. As I understand it, Councillor McQuillan is effectively moving what's in Annex 2 of the report, so it's the matters to be resolved before permission is granted, and then the conditions that are listed. And the very special circumstances are those that were set out in the minutes of the last meeting. I think that's, as I understand it.
Yes, thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Would you like to add anything to that, Vice Chairman? No. Fair enough. Debate. Open it to the floor. Come on, don't all talk at once. No debate. I move the motion be put. Thank you, Vice Chairman. Okay, the motion has been put. Do you want to sum up at all, Stuart?
Very briefly, thank you, and I look forward to anticipating the support that you were able to give the committee last time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Right. All those in favour of approval of this application? That, ladies and gentlemen, is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Yes. Right, planning appeals. Richard.
Thank you. And just very briefly, you'll see that we've had a couple of good appeals dismissed. We have still got, though, a number of inquiries in the pipeline. You'll see the enforcement team have got 3 public inquiries, 1 a month through September, October and November, which is obviously occupying their time on top of everything else they're doing. We've also, as you know, got the ongoing Bristol Airport inquiry. That's now been adjourned for a couple of weeks for a summer recess. And we'll start again on the 31st of August with the highways and transport evidence. In the 4 weeks to date, I think it's 4 weeks, it started on July the 20th. The inquiry has heard from the public, so there have been about 60 or so representatives of the local communities, local businesses and so forth who've spoken to the inspectors. Then there's been evidence on aviation forecasting, economic benefits, noise, air quality and health impacts, all through expert witnesses. All live on YouTube for anybody that wants to watch it, or it's recorded if you're an insomniac and you want to watch it in the night. And it's so far so good in terms of progress. So it's on programme. Our witnesses are punching their weight, and we look forward to the second half.
Thank you, Richard. Agenda item 9, urgent business permitted by the Local Government Act 1972. Sue? None. Thank you, Sue. There we are. Thank you all for your attendance, and I declare the meeting closed. And while I'm at it, just to welcome Tim Snaden back. It's nice to see you, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to be back, and it's very strange being here again.
Okay.